Welcome, and thank you for joining me. This is Laurie of Laurie's Heirloom Sewing. And this is the second time I've done this video because I realized a couple of things. One, my memory card was full. Duh. And two, I forgot in the first one that I did to talk about the underlining fabric that we need for this particular pattern. So it's a complete redo. This is what we're working on right here. Whoa, focus. Let's go back a little bit maybe. Okay. So it is the McCall's Crafts M4798. And we're doing both the jacket and the tote bag. That's what I have purchased fabric for. I may end up having to purchase more fabric. I don't know. As it is, as of yesterday, what I purchased and what I think I need based on the requirements listed here on the back, I believe I have. Because well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so basically, my recommendation, even if you've sewn and even if you've done something of this nature before, is to get yourself a kind of a sketchy journaly notebook and sketch out the pattern pieces. Even if you're not like super artisty. Pardon me, my goodness, I know that's aggravating. I don't know what's going on. If you can just kind of, you know, come up with a basic sketch, or even just a square or a rectangle, and then section it off the way that you need to in order to kind of give yourself a key for the for this particular jacket and the tote bag. The fabric key is going to be very useful when you are laying out your pattern pieces and when you are looking at your fabric. So, like I said, even if you can't draw, you just don't want to take the time, you could even write out, you know, upper left yoke on jacket, upper left front yoke, upper left front side. This is the fabric for that. So, what you need for the McCall's Crafts M4798 is a selection of about 4 to 5 different fabrics for the main pieces of the jacket. And my sister, for whom I'm making this, and I chose the, let's see if I can zoom a little bit. We went for the horseshoe print that also sort of ties in with the horse and the houndstooth look there. And then the third one that we chose was this is sort of a creamy background, woo, with obviously with a Western horse theme. It's got little puppy print, feet prints, and then the horseshoes and the hats and the boots. And it kind of, blues and yellows are a good combination. Anytime if you need to sew something and colorway or color design or whatever is just hanging you up, go with a blue and a yellow, or a dark blue and a pale yellow, or a cream and a light blue. Anything in that fabric colorway will go. And then my sister chose this as the fourth fabric. And there's a lot of reasons. Some of them are sort of an inside family, not a joke, but it just something well known within the family about bees, which this has. We have little stylized bees and we have sunflowers, but also it mimics this dot. So we have the large stylized flower stems and our bee trails, and then we also have this little silvery, it's not silvery. In my mind, it's silvery. On the fabric, it's just a white print. It just reminds me of a necklace or an earring set or something. And that's like a chain. But it's a very, very, very fine dot detail. And then, of course, we have the yellow that we can play off of. And of course, this means something. So this will be used in conjunction with this. So the other thing you're going to need for that particular pattern is a lining, which would be on the inside. And for that, we are using, this is a flannel gingham, kind of a baby gingham or a mini gingham that will work beautifully in all respects. So that is what that's for. And then you have what's called an underlining. And for that, you basically could use any fabric you have in your stash. For the size that I'm making, which is the absolute largest size on the pattern, because my sister is always cold and she will wear a mock turtleneck sweater under a full heavy sweatshirt under a jacket. So I wanted her to have enough room on top of all of the layers that she typically would wear to, to move around. She and her husband have an Angus cow farm, and she doesn't need to be restricted if she's out, and needs to do something with the cows or on the farm. Now I will have some adjustments that I will need to make because she's not a big person. So even though I'm making the jacket rather large, I am going to do some. We're 2,000 miles away from each other, but I can get some measurements from her, like, arm length and all that. I need to be able to hem the sleeves to the proper length and, make sure that the jacket isn't going to overlap, because I don't know if you noticed, but this jacket does not have a closure in the front. It just simply slips on, kind of like a sweater without buttons. There's no zipper, there's no button. You just slip it on and slip it off. So I want to make sure that it's not too large. And as you can see on the model, these sleeves appear to be rather large. The shoulders are, they're kind of a low shoulder situation. So I need to make sure that that is going to actually fit. Since my sister is smaller, she doesn't need to have the shoulder down to here and then the sleeve hanging down to her knee. And I also don't, this right here is a little bit too, just a little bit too big on the model. And I kind of need to adjust for that too. So even though I'm making it using the largest part of the pattern, there will be some adjustments like the hem, things like that. But getting back to the underlining, every single one of these, whether it's the small size or the extra large size, require an underlining. And you will need 1 7/8 of a yard. And I'm just using some basic white cotton broadcloth. The pattern says to use an Osnaburg or another type of loosely woven muslin. It could be really anything. I have some pink Kona cotton, but I decided to go with white. I think because we're going to have this, we'll have a raw edge. It won't be pinked. So we'll have this, we'll have this, and we'll have this. for every single piece. And that is what creates that chambray look on the outside. So all the raw edges are going to meet up in the middle. And I didn't think a line of pink was what would look good there. So that's why I chose that white. But that is another thing that you need to consider. You know, if you're using a black underlining and, you know, you're using a mauve basic colorway on the outside, you might really want to think about what the underlining is, because it is going to show, since every single one of our seams is exposed. And by seams, I mean, again, you're going to have exposed seams right here. Let's see if I can get this to focus. So right here, there's an exposed seam. Here, there's an exposed seam. There, 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 all the way down the back and across the back in 2 different places. And the same thing is true on your tote bag. That's what is causing and creating the chenille effect. So keep that in mind when you are putting this together. Whatever it is that you end up putting between your lining and your outer fabric, that's that third layer, and it will show. So you want a color that's going to either be completely opposing or complementing in some way. You will also need some, I'm trying to find out what it is here. Underlining. For the appliques, yes, you will need some paper-backed fusible webbing for all of the appliques if you plan to use the appliques. I might and I might not. It is truly going to depend on what I think as I'm going along. I may decide, no, she's not really big into appliques anyway, but I have a different applique not included in this pattern that I want to put on the tote, and that will be discussed as we get up to that particular point. So for the jacket, you will need a basic amount of fabric, and I believe that for every single size, all the way from the small, which is from an 8, to the extra large, which goes up to size 22, you will need 2 1/8 yards of fabric. That is going to be for the inside part of your jacket. The contrast for the upper right front, the lower left front, and the lower right back is 5/8 of a yard. And it just goes all the way through that list. I will try to remember to put this information in the description box down below. And the fabrics that I purchased, where I purchased them, except for the broadcloth, which I've had for probably over 20 years. You need an underlining, which is that white fabric. And for that, you need 1 7/8 yards if it's 45 inches wide, or 1 1/2 yards if it's 60 inches wide. And then you're going to need some thread and some webbing for the tote bag, unless you choose to make your handles the same way that I do. And in that case, you will not need webbing. So if you don't have any and you don't feel like buying any, but you want to make the handles and you want to make the tote bag, I got you covered on that, as long as you have fabric and some type of interfacing. If you don't have interfacing, dig through your closet until you find an old pair of blue jeans with holes in them, and we can use that. So exactly here. So the description here is very loose fitting patchwork self-lined jacket. It has multiple contrasting blocks and appliques, exposed and frayed seam allowances and edges, dropped soldiers, dropped soldiers? No. Dropped shoulders, haha, and long sleeves with turn back cuffs. Large patchwork self-lined tote bag, easy for everybody else to say, has multiple contrasting blocks, pocket and applique straps, exposed and frayed seam allowances, and edges. The suggested fabrics for both are cotton broadcloth, chambray. The underlining would be the Osnaburg or another different type of loosely woven muslin. You will need cotton. If you have stripes or plaids or a one-way design fabric, you're probably going to need additional pieces of fabric or yardage. So every single size is included in this one envelope. And tomorrow, since I don't know how to pause videos, and since they appear to think that the idea of pausing a video is so basic they don't need to include it in the instructions on how to use this particular camera, I will have to do this in a series of, today we're talking about it, tomorrow we're going to cut it out, the next day we're going to sew, because I can't pause. Basic information, hard to find. So anyway, I will have all these pieces cut out and we will start stitching. If I run into any issues with cutting out or laying out, I'm going to try to include that information in my next video. If it is fairly straightforward, I am basically just going to lay out all these fabrics, lay out the pattern pieces, cut them up, and then have them ready to go in video number 2. So one thing before I go that I have been thinking about, thought I would mention to all of my dandelions who are watching. I think my personal opinion on this is that there is a difference between being nice and being kind. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I would love to hear from you. But I was trying to be nice to someone, and I discovered that when you're nice, you tend to just get, you're just standing here trying to be nice. This is me standing here. And they just sort of push you over and walk over you like you're just, I can walk on you. But if you're kind, it tends to take people by surprise, and they don't feel like they can walk all over you. They don't feel like there's that idea that you're just too nice. So let me know what you think. I'm going to try to switch my way of thinking. I know there's a whole bunch of books. I noticed that the other day too. There's like this whole vast world of books about being too nice might not be a good idea. Being kind, on the other hand, of course, is a good idea. I also wanted to share with you another sewing project. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is January the 21st. And last night I was hit by the sudden realization that, well, honestly, the realization that my birthday is coming up in February, and on the heels of my birthday is Valentine's Day. And I love to create Valentine things at the sewing machine. So I had a great idea, and what I ended up looking for were buttons, because I'm going to make a, let me just draw this out for you if I can find my, aha, here we go. Will this show? Yeah. So I'm going to make much bigger than this, of course, but I'm going to make heart-shaped totes. So my idea is that they will have a tab right here, and then the handle will go to the back where there will be another tab on the back side. So like that. And each of the 3 or 4 will have a different button right here. So I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for buttons. And I was horrified, first of all, that a really pretty button, something kind of elegant, is like $14 for one. When this is a Valentine tote, and I just realized I did not really draw that to scale. The little handle will be a little bit bigger than that. And I thought, well, that's just ridiculous. So I kept looking, and all of a sudden I ran across this, which was all of these buttons came in this bag right here from Amazon, and I ordered it yesterday and it arrived yesterday. So here's the thing. Let me erase that. Okay. So I wanted something cute that, you know, you could either take these off when you're done with the tote bag, or you know, you could use this tote bag every year, or you could use it up until there's just nothing left of it. But I wanted cute buttons. So these Jessie James Dress It Up buttons are adorable. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see. So those little kitties right there have googly eyes. They're just adorable. And they're called Cute Kittens. This is Forever Friends. And these are like little, it's a fox and a bunny and a puppy. And then I have something fishy. That would be so cute on a little beach tote. Oh, I don't know if those were actually showing. Okay. And then this is called Wild Thing. And it's like little forest animals. This one is called My Little Lamb. So cute. I would not put these on an infant anything, but they are so cute. You could maybe safely put them on something like a decorative item for a baby. Okay, these are Creatures of the Sea. Oh, so cute. These are Animal World, and they're kind of all turned around funny, but they appear to be like elephant heads and tiger heads and giraffe heads. But they're cute. And then here we have Funny Farm, and I just love those. They're so adorable. And then this is also In the Barnyard. Again, super cute. And this one is Jungle Baby, and it's owls and birds and a giraffe and an elephant. And they're just adorable. And then this one is Hen House. And obviously it looks like we have a hen or a bunch of hens, and maybe a rooster has been tossed in the mix. He's back there in the back. And this one is called Who Loves You, and it's an owl theme with little birds and flowers. So out of all of those, I have exactly what I need for the people that I plan to make the heart tote bags for. Now, the fabric is supposed to come... Oh, I was just checking to see if my iron was still on. The fabric is supposed to come to come here tomorrow, and it is heart fabric for the outside, and then a pink seersucker for the lining, and then I'll be stitching the buttons on. I'm only going to show one on video. The remaining bags I will just do and give to the recipients. But before I do, I will show you the buttons that I chose to use and how I chose to use them. So that may interfere with the stitching and sewing of our jacket. But if I can work in both videos, I will do that. The little tote bags should not take very long. But I do need to get kind of a head start on those because one of them will be going 2,000 miles. The others are local, and it's just that one that I need to get in the mail. So that's my plan. Also, I made, for the first time in my life, I made brioche. It turned out absolutely delightful. And if you're interested and want to see a video, I know this is primarily sewing, but it is also painting and baking on my channel. So if you want a video on how to make brioche, we can actually talk about it. I can show you some of it. The main thing about brioche is it takes about a day and a half, depending on when you wake up and when you go to bed. So keep that in mind. It might actually be more of a 2-day process for some, and it might be a day and a half like it was for me because I go to bed really early and I wake up super early. So I was able to kind of get a head start on the process on the second day. So anyway, I will be more than happy to share that video or information on how to make brioche. It's extremely easy if you have a very, very heavy-duty mixer. And I honestly don't know, unless you're just super strong, I don't know that you could do it without a super strong mixer. My recommendation is I wouldn't try it, but I don't have that strength anymore. So it could be that maybe I'm just forgetting what that wonderful feeling is when you can just conquer the world. But anyway, so let me know in the comments below if you want to do brioche. And if you have any questions about any of the videos I've done, or you know, if you need more information, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm also on Facebook at Laurie's Heirloom Sewing, and I'm on Instagram at, let me look real quick. I can't remember if it's Laurie Ann Eggleston on Instagram or what I'm using. So let's see real quick. Laurie Campbell Eggleston is my Instagram. So you can contact me, you know, through those means. And I look forward to hearing from each of my dandelions. I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you again.